Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce saying, Joyce, it's the moment we've been waiting for. Our final Oscar predictions.
Final.
Until Sunday night, probably. We're going to do every category, all 23 categories, and we're going to do them in a minute. But first, we're going to start with two fun things, Joyce. Michelle Yeoh's Instagram caption and a few brutally honest ballots as Oscar voting has finally closed.
Yeah, so today is Wednesday,
Yes.
March 8th, International Women's Day.
Yes.
Yes.
What are you doing to celebrate?
Yeah. So there'll definitely be more ballots before Sunday, but
Yes.
as it stands right now, we have a few from last night, Tuesday, the 2nd, that voting closed.
Immediately set for 8 o'clock on the dot, or 5 o'clock on the dot, excuse me.
Well, 8 o'clock for us.
Yeah, 5 o'clock for Pacific time.
Yeah, and then the Best Actress race gotta have drama right up until the last minute.
Just like a last second Hail Mary for Michelle Yeoh posting a Vogue article about how now's the time, basically, like a kind of an honor the man, honor the film type proposal for her.
It was I love the whole sequence of events because she initially in the wee hours of Tuesday morning just storied the article. It was in her stories with like the headline. And I was like, oh, cool. Like that's awesome. She's going for it, last minute campaign. Like,
yeah,
awesome.
We love that. We love campaigning.
Yeah. And then by like Tuesday afternoon, she did an actual post with her carousel with highlights from the article.
Yes. The article was from Vogue, Joyce. It was headlined, "It's been over 2 decades since we've had a non-white Best Actress winner, period. Will that change in 2023?
Yeah. So then, yeah, she had screen grabs from the article in the carousel. And then people latched on to one of the slides.
So this slide said this was one of the, I think maybe the third or fourth slide. It was again quoting the article. Detractors would say that Blanchett's the stronger performance. That the acting veteran is indisputably incredible as the prolific conductor Lydia Tarr. Love all those words. Indisputably incredible as the prolific
thesaurus.com.
Can't wait. But it should be noted that she already has 2 Oscars, the article read, and then a third would perhaps confirm her status as an industry titan. But considering her expansive and unparalleled body of work, are we still in need of yet more confirmation? Meanwhile, for Yeoh, an Oscar would be life-changing. Her name would be forever preceded by the phrase Academy Award winner, and it should result in her getting meatier parts after a decade of being criminally underused in Hollywood. That's the article, quoting.
So a lot of things happening in that passage, very funny because it said decades singular. It was like Michelle's been around for decades. And if you're just her profile in the US, Tomorrow Never Dies was 1997.
Right.
More than a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
Crouching Tiger was 2000. More than a decade ago.
Yes.
But yeah, obviously film Twitter lost its mind.
Well, because as we learned from when we spent a lot of energy talking about Andrea Riseborough, whose film To Leslie shared an article, I believe, about again saying similar
quoting
things.
Richard Roper, and again, it referenced Cate Blanchett.
Everybody again just dragging Cate Blanchett for trying to win a 3rd Oscar, basically like, hey, Cate's great, but what about this other person? We don't need to keep giving Cate an Oscar. Cate must be sitting there like, when Frances McDormand was in 3 Oscars, nobody was talking about this shit. Why am I getting this? But there you go. So anyway, we learned that's against the rules. Is a member of to cite other competitors, right? Is against the rules on social media. So Michelle Yeoh ended up deleting that Instagram post shortly after people were getting mad online.
Yeah, it was up for a couple of hours, and then just watching everyone capitulate, and then watching a lot of people who were so pressed about the To Leslie campaign that wasn't even, that Andrea wasn't even part of, really, because she's not on social media, or like she has an Instagram that's been inactive for years.
Right.
But people were mad about that, and then people are trying to defend Michelle posting this. And to be clear, I have no problem for posting it.
I don't either. I
don't care.
And
but
I don't care about that.
It probably was a a poor judgment call to post that particular passage if you didn't want to incite assholes on the internet coming for you.
Right. And I totally agree with that. And I didn't care, honestly, when I don't think I don't think that rule is really, I don't think the
No,
spirit
it's a
of that
fake rule.
rule, it's a fake rule, but I don't even think the spirit of that rule is being violated here. I think the rule is written so somebody could be like, you know who sucks? Kate Blanchett. And you
Yeah,
know who
like
I should
Michelle Yeoh
win
did
me?
not say that
Right.
herself.
And I don't, and even the article doesn't say that, right? Like, it's like, I think we're like kind of gilding the lily a little, but obviously if you were mad about Andrew Riseborough's campaign doing it, you should be mad about Michelle Yeoh's campaign doing it. And there seemed to be a little bit of a disconnect there, maybe.
Yeah, just because a lot of people obviously want Michelle to win. So it's
Right.
like, oh, of course she'd be posting this. And again,
Fine.
totally fair for her to be posting it. I don't care. Post whatever you want. But um I'll put it this way. She would not have had to delete that post if she didn't include that slide.
No. But I don't think people care. And it was, while it was the end of
No,
voting,
nothing
I'm not
happened.
sure.
The internet is not real. It's not a
No.
real place.
Or even if it is, I'm like, I
Oscar
don't.
voters on the last day of Oscar voting, they do not have Instagram alerts for Michelle Yeoh's posts.
There's a funny thing going on right now where we think the Academy of 9,700 people or 9,600 people are largely old and out of touch, and yet we also think they're so extremely online they're paying attention to like the minutia of Instagram posts from stars. I don't believe either of those things are necessarily true, but it is funny that there is that disconnect happening. So
yeah, like everything, like whatever happens in the moment, everyone thinks it's like the biggest deal ever and this affects everything, and it doesn't.
Right. So that was that. And then we had anonymous ballots, Joyce.
Love it. Love to see
The
it.
THR, as usual, the brutally honest ballot. Immediate disagree for me. The Top Gun script was probably the weakest. And the Andrea Riseborough nom felt very mafia-ish.
But this person did offer the best line,
Yes.
saying he watched To Leslie and he said Andrea was great, but not greatest of all time, as Kate Winslet lied to me.
Amazing. Love that. I will say one thing I noticed about this is that I think we've become accustomed to these brutally honest ballots to being tone deaf on race to incredibly offensive on race at the maximum, right? Like usually like they're just saying the most offensive things about these nominees and movies. And I think the expectation was for a lot of this year that, oh, everything everywhere is really polarizing and people don't like it. And I was expecting these anonymous ballots to be like, the movie sucks and blah, blah, blah. And this guy has it number one, right? Even with a lot of like, you know, whatever you want to say. I'm like, oh, even the brutally honest ballots are in the tank for everything everywhere. Basically, that was my takeaway from a lot of these.
I mean, I don't think like a lot of people hate it. Like, no. I think like it's always the hatred for the film or like the perception that is super polarizing, which to be fair, like very early on last year in the film's very embryonic stages of its Oscar campaign, like it did seem like that was a possibility, but it's been clear over the past few months that like people like this movie, and sure, like even if it's not your cup of tea, I think a lot of them also respect what it's like trying to do, like its ambition. But I'm sure in the coming days we'll have a few more that will just be railing against it. But I did love that this person, this voter, who is a member of the short films and feature animation branch, did not watch all the animated feature nominees.
It's great.
And still voted.
Why not? So that's the kind of level again you're thinking of here when you're like, we're really taking care to think about all these things. And then sometimes people are either just fully abstaining from votes, which could happen.
I love when people abstain. The variety ones, there's like 7 of them. A lot of people abstaining, yes, especially from the shorts.
A lot of abstaining. So then you're talking about even smaller margins for victory. I think the other thing reading these ballots, another thing that stands out, and like you said, like we know the industry loves everything everywhere, right? Like we've seen that proven at every Guild Award ceremony this year. But the one thing I noticed is that in this one, talking about the Daniels as best director, and the THR anonymous ballot said with limited resources was the thing that stood out to me, because I think people are really impressed that this is like an indie movie basically that was made for whatever you want to say, whether it was like really like 30 million or 25 million, whatever number they're saying. You don't have the budget of even like probably the Fabelmans, right? Or something like big and period or whatever. And the amount of material they were able to get on such a relatively small budget, I think stands out. And they kind of like feel basically like, it seems like people think they like, or it feels like they cobbled it together, right? And like kind of did it from their bootstraps And I guess that's also appealing for people in the industry, right? Like, it's like people like that this movie was such a success, even if they don't love the movie.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the support for the film beyond, you just liking the film for its merits is narrative driven
Right.
for the film itself and the people involved
Right.
too. So,
All right, Joyce. So should we do our predictions now?
I'm gonna do these live.
We're doing them live. We're doing reverse order. So we're going to start with best live action short and go all the way to best picture. So if you're watching this and we're like, I don't give a shit, just skip to the end because we'll put timestamps. But you should really stick
Even
around.
though there's no suspense for Best Picture, really.
There's no suspense really, but you should really stick around because this is where I think you can make or break your Oscar pool. I would say in the lower categories, and there's a lot of categories up in the air, Joyce. Here, it's not. There's
They're
some that are
very tight categories.
yeah. So we're going to start with best live action short. Here are the nominees: An Irish Goodbye, Evolue, Les Pupilles, Night Ride, and The Red Suitcase. And Joyce, I have An Irish Goodbye winning.
I'm going to do that too.
So Les Pupilles is the favorite and produced by Alfonso Cuarón, and people have been really heavily predicting it. But I get the sense it's a little like it's a little not weird, but it's like it kind of ends on an ambiguous note.
Yeah, and An Irish Goodbye is just very crowd pleasing.
Yes.
And very funny. And I want to put The Red Suitcase in second instead of Les Pupilles.
Nice.
Because that one it's very, I guess, suspenseful.
Right.
Is a good word for it too. And I think one of the not that I'm gonna change my prediction based on an anonymous ballot, but I think that one of them voted for it. Was it the THR guy?
One. And not the THR one. The THR one I think did Les Pupilles.
Someone did. I don't know. There's too many of them right now.
Let me see.
But no, he did do Red Suitcase. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Red Suitcase. Yeah.
No, but I think Irish Goodbye is it's kind of like Banshees in a way.
Right. That's what I was kind of thinking. And I just think it's like pound for pound, it's probably the best of these shorts.
Yeah, and I could see them, like, I think if you watch them, I think more people would respond to An Irish Goodbye than Les Pupilles.
Right. So that's what I'm thinking. And I'm like, I don't know. I think people might watch these. I don't think that there's like, I know they've definitely had Alfonso Cuarón out there. So, I mean, like, it could just, this could just win because people are like, yes, like we know him kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's on Disney Plus. But yeah, like it could just be a name check.
Correct.
Thing.
But I don't know if it will be because he's not the star.
Well, no, but
you know what I mean? Like if it was like
that he's like on screen.
Right. No, but I mean, you know what I mean? Like if it was like starring a famous person, like you maybe would default to that movie. But even though he's like the biggest name in the category, let's say, like I don't think they're just going to default to him. I don't know.
No. And also An Irish Goodbye is in English, and they usually favor English language films here.
All right. Next up was the best documentary short, Joyce. The nominees are The Elephant Whisperers, Haul Out, How Do You Measure a Year, The Martha Mitchell Effect, and Stranger at the Gate. This one is actually an incredibly tough category. I think you can make a really strong argument for maybe all 5 of these, at least 3 of them. I ended up going Stranger at the Gate because while she would not win an Oscar, I think the fact that Malala is out there campaigning will make people think she could win an Oscar, a Kobe Bryant style, even though he did win an Oscar, I guess. And so I have Stranger at the Gate winning. That's a long way around to say it.
I have been thinking about Stranger at the Gate for weeks because it feels like another Two Distant Strangers, and it's like not the best one here. And it's kind of manipulative, and the structure of it, I have some notes on it, but I think it's the most politically charged.
Yes.
And that's something that voters respond to. And then like these other ones, I like Haul Out the best, but I don't think that's gonna win because it's kind of like a little too abstract for it and doesn't handhold you. And yeah, these other ones, how do you measure a year? That's, like a lot of people cry over that one.
I really almost picked that and Elephant Whispers because of the emotional factors, but I don't know.
Elephant Whispers, it's very cute and sure. I don't know.
So what did you end up going with?
Well, my problem is that I could possibly end up going against the odds in all three of these.
Right.
So I'm just like, do I want to go against the odds in all three or like play it safe with the favorite in one of these?
I went against spoiler, I went against the odds in all three.
I know, because that's what I'm leaning right now, like against the odds on all three.
Right.
Because I also think like a lot of reason why these films are in number one is because no one really watches these. Like one nomination come out and then you're just like filling out your ballot and it's like, okay, I'll just like drag this over.
Yep, exactly.
And then once enough people, like the first 100 people or whatever, make their predictions, it creates the odds in order. And then when future people do it, they just drag it over and they don't think about it. So. I'll do Stranger at the Gate for now.
I think this one, if I had to guess, I think this one it will be the very highest probability of getting wrong. I just think you can make an argument for all of them. How do you measure a year is not incredibly serious. Like it's about a guy talking to his daughter over 15 or 18 years. But like you said, like it made me cry. I was like, I think people will enjoy it, even though it doesn't really say a whole lot and it's not incredibly profound. Elephant Whispers is on Netflix. It's probably the most widely seen of these, I would argue. And then Stranger at the Gate. I just think because Malala has been everywhere, I think that puts it over the top, at least from a visibility standpoint. As we've seen, like you said, in the in the variety ones, I think they have 7 ballots, and I think only one of them maybe actually picked the shorts. They're all abstained, it seems. So it's like, I don't think people are really voting for these. Even the THR one where the guy did watch them, he was like, they're so bad, I just abstained in documentary short. That was his take.
I mean, fair.
Are so boring, I didn't even vote for one. And I watched them. He took time to watch them and did not even vote for one. So when you're talking about that, I think it's like, I don't know. There's going to be a very small margin of error here. And I think it could be any of these, really. But I'll go with Stranger at the Gate because I think in the end, Malala is there. And I think if people are like struggling with what to pick here, they might just be like, well, I did get to shake Malala's hand at the luncheon, so maybe I'll vote for her.
Again, I think it's also like the easiest one to respond to. And it also like basically has like a twist in the film. I don't know.
Next up, we have Best Animated Short. Let me find the nominees. Those are The Boy, the Mole, The Fox and the Horse, The Flying Sailor, Ice Merchants, My Year of Dicks, and An Ostrich Told Me the World is Fake, and I Think I Believe It. And Joyce, I'm going with My Year of Dicks on title alone, but I also think it's pretty good, and it might be the best of these, and I think it could really win. It's third in the odds, I believe, and then, so that's another long, like just a Hail Mary. And I know everyone is picking The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, and Ice Merchants is really coming on, but I'm going to go My Year of Dicks.
One of my tactics is to just go with the best title, but we have 2 great titles here.
We have 2 great titles, but I think one is it's a superior title. And
so I feel like that could just split the cool title vote.
True.
I think I'm going to go with Ice Merchants, not just because it's my favorite, but I think it's kind of like the platonic ideal of what they usually go for in this category, because they don't like The Boy is like targeted at kids, but these other ones aren't really. And Ice Merchants is like kid adjacent because there's a kid involved, but and also gorgeously animated, and it is short. It's like 14 minutes, and Boy is very long for short. It's, let me see, it's 30 something.
I gotta say, it might be targeted for kids, but I didn't even try to watch that with my daughter, and I can't imagine her making through it because it's a
It's
little
34
slow.
minutes, and I just feel like, so it's been like 15 years since a short longer than like 15 minutes or something has won here.
Yes.
And I feel like this maybe also tripped up Robin last year, which was like heavily predicted to win, and that was also like 30 something minutes. So
Yeah.
and like Boy, I think the story itself, like you said, you didn't watch it with your daughter, and I feel like you might be a little checked out before you reach the end. And then like it's very dialogue heavy too, and then the dialogue is also kind of like cloying. And then combine it with the length. So I don't know if people are watching this, if they're gonna get through it.
Like we said this on Sunday in our live WGA show, but I was like, I mean, Apple has done a great job promoting it. It's definitely the most noisy of these nominees, and one of the most noisy nominees, I would say, of the year. It's just I get nothing but emails about it, and it seems like they've done a lot of events, and I think it's a beautiful, well-made film. But like
It's probably like pound for pound, like the best animated one out of all of these.
And I think the score is like as good as some of the Oscar nominated scores. Frankly, it's Phoebe Waller-Bridge's sister, Isabel Waller-Bridge, did the music. It's a beautiful music, but I just think it's too long. And like you said, I just think it's maybe for grown-ups a little cloying, and you'd have to be in the right mindset to be so uncynical watching it. And I'm not sure at this stage in the race people are uncynical about all this. So I just think that maybe it won't win. And I think Ice Merchants is, people really, really like it. That's another one. So I think that could win, but I'm going my Year of Dicks just because I'm like, man, it's just the best title. I think it's better than the Ostrich one. Like no one is going viral talking about the Ostrich one, but My Year of Dicks went viral at the nominees because of Riz Ahmed. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's also because of the way he said it.
True, but like everybody knows that movie. I think most people would know it, and I think if they watch it, they would also really like it. So
yeah, it's a good film too. And I think that one is like 20 something minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's also a little bit on it's 24 minutes. Yeah, it's a little bit on the long side for them. So
I can't wait to go over 3 in these. So
I know, because usually I don't go against the favorite in all 3, but it might just end up that way.
And usually I have not looked this up, so I always feel like I do go with the favorites, and I'll go 1 for 3 because there's almost never going to be 3 favorites winning, and so I feel like why not this year just go against all the favorites and see what happens.
I mean, last year's Oscars was so boring because it was like all chalk except for this category because Windshield Wiper won. Yeah. This was the only upset, and we didn't even see it live.
No. For Best International Feature, that's up next, Joyce. The nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Argentina 1985, Close, EO, and The Quiet Girl, and I have All Quiet on the Western Front.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say. First of what I feel like will be a few Oscars for this movie, but congratulations to Edward Berger in Germany for All Quiet on the Western Front. Another one to nothing to... Oh, this we'll do, I guess, documentary next, and then animated, nothing to say. But documentary, the nominees are All That Breathes, All the Beauty and the Bloodshed, Fire of Love, A House Made of Splinters, and Nalvani. And I have Nalvani winning.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to say about this either.
I don't either. I really wanted to pick Fire of Love. I think it's like the best story and also like the most well made, and it obviously has like a lot of affection in the industry because Sarah Dosa won at the DGA Awards, and I think it won at the ACE Awards, right? Was that where it won?
Yeah, but that makes sense. It's a lot of archival footage, you know?
And I think Nalvani is, like we said, like a political statement, and the win means something, and people have obviously seen it because it was like on CNN and HBO Max. And so I have Nalvani winning. Not much else to say, right?
Yeah, like it won PGA and BAFTA, and like I've said before, it reminds me of like Icarus.
Yeah.
It's like a combo of Icarus and My Octopus Teacher.
Yep. For animated feature, like we said, another one to go quickly: Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Marcel the Shell, Puss in Boots, The Sea Beast, and Turning Red, and Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio will win.
Congratulations to him.
Okay, so now we're up to Best Song. Oh, no, sorry. Best Visual Effects. Another one that doesn't actually have anything going on. Best Visual Effects. The nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Batman, Black Panther, and Top Gun. And I have Avatar winning.
The lockiest lock of the night.
That is absolutely the biggest lock, without question. Next up, Best Sound. The nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, The Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun Maverick. And while I toyed with All Quiet, Joyce, I do have Top Gun Maverick winning.
Well, you finally came back around.
I
was
did.
Was it the cast win?
Yes, it was. I also just think
it would win.
It's also just not going to not win something. I just feel like it will win. I think people really like the movie. And I think when they're going down the list, while obviously the sound in All Quiet on the Western Front is amazing, and I think Elvis would win if there was a sound mixing category, like for sure. But overall, I think when you're watching Top Gun Maverick, if you saw it in the theater, you were like, this is awesome. And you'll remember the sound a lot, as silly as that is. And I just think that's going to put it over the top.
Yeah, I've always had Top Gun here, and I don't think All Quiet will stomp as hard here as it did at BAFTA. And this is like one of the categories it could drop here.
I agree. I actually have I dropped it in a lot of places. I'm just not sure the BAFTA support will translate over. I know there's like, obviously, like there is a lot of overlap, and like we've seen in the past, like BAFTA presage, like Oscar upsets or Oscar like runs, but I'm not sure there's a strong affinity for that, as strong of, or there's not a lot of passion for that movie. And I think there was passion for these other movies more, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's wrong. And
well, it's also like a disconnect between what international voters might like and not like, and domestic voters might like and not like. Like, I think it's clear Everything Everywhere and Top Gun are more liked in America than abroad.
Right.
And the Brits are just obsessed with war and war movies.
Right.
So it could just be a BAFTA thing. But I think, like, I'm trying to, between like All Quiet doing so well at BAFTA and Everything Everywhere killing the guilds, like I'm trying to find the happy medium in between for both of them at the Oscars, because I don't think either are going to overperform like they did at these other places when we meet in the middle with a mix of international in AMPIS, and then just a more exclusive group of AMPIS voters, not like the guilds that have like hundreds of thousands of voters, and so,
and also, like we've always said, like everyone votes for the winners. So I do think that affects this. Like if you're like the acting branch has got like 1,000 members, right? Or whatever, of the 9,600 Academy members. I'm sure actors love Top Gun. Like they love Tom Cruise. It's clear like that there's an affection for him as a performer. And I think like when you think about that, it's like, yeah, like international voters might not have liked Top Gun, but if you're like an actor, you're probably like, hell yeah, Top Gun ruled. And maybe you're like, All Quiet's fine, but like I love Top Gun. Like that kind of thing. I think there's a little more basicness to the Academy, as we've seen in the past, and maybe like All Quiet is a little more, not cineast, but like not like a little more highbrow. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't think it's highbrow because it's a very like basic war movie too. But right. I think it's hard to. The problem with it is it broke so late that it's hard to gauge where it's at relative to everybody else, like all these other contenders we've been seeing performing at these other places all season.
Right.
Because I'm sure if All Quiet broke out like immediately in October when it dropped on Netflix, it like probably would have made a couple of these girls. It probably would have made PGA instead of, like Glass Onion. No offense.
Yeah. No, that could be true. That could be true.
But yeah, I just like, we just don't have any data to go off of after BAFTA because it was MIA at all these other places. So then it's like, are people checking it out? It seems like they are, I mean, and it's like, it's not like a hard movie to get behind with its message.
But I just think like, especially here in the, my picks kind of reflect this, and maybe this will be wrong and I'll do terribly, but like I think you end up gathering like a strong amount of momentum going into voting. And I just feel like, at least anecdotally or just in the ether, that while obviously like Pete Hammond was like, man, I talked to people, they love All Quiet, and he picked it to win Best Picture. And he's out there talking to Academy members. I don't get the sense though that there's like a lot of momentum for it, whereas I think there is for.
Well, that's what I mean. Like we can't gauge his momentum because I don't think it would have gotten it at SAG anyway, but everyone watched SAG win. So you're like, oh my God, like Everything Everywhere
Right.
won 4 SAG awards. But can you hold that against All Quiet when it broke so late? And we don't know where it stands.
Do you actually think though that even if there is momentum for it, do you think people are passionate about it? Like it's not a movie that generates passion, I would say.
I do think some people do like it. Like I think
Yes.
it's like their favorite movie over these other ones. I do think that's the case for some of them. I mean, I'm not picking it to win Best Picture.
No.
I'm just saying we just don't know like how strong it is or how weak it is. Like it could be dying right now. We just don't know.
Right.
Like we would if it had lost all these other, it did lose like the craft guilds. Like it lost like sound to or like cast to like Top Gun and stuff. But like if it were at the top guilds and it lost, like we can not definitively, but we can just point to that and be like, see, it couldn't perform on preferential ballot.
Right.
Like we don't have any information on whether it can or not. Like the first time we'll be seeing it perform is on Sunday.
Right.
So it's like we don't know where it stands. So I think that's what makes it tricky to say like how many it could win. But again, I don't think it'll win 7 as it did at BAFTA, and it already can't win one of the categories because it's not nominated there.
Next up is Best Original Song, Joyce. The nominees are Applause from Tell It Like a Woman, Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick, Lift Me Up from Black Panther, Not To from RRR, and This Is a Life from Everything Everywhere All at Once. And this one has really torn me up too, Joyce, and I've ended up with Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick.
I don't know what to do here, and I know I've said that for weeks and months, and I might just stick with RRR. I don't know. Like, I don't know who to go to.
Okay, so RRR is the favorite. Everyone is just assuming it's going to win because everyone loves the movie online and they love Not To. And hey, maybe it'll win. But it just would be such a strange, it just feels like it would be such a strange winner. I think it's not a Best Picture nominee. It's not a movie that was like widely embraced by the Academy, obviously, where it missed in areas where maybe it could have gotten shortlisted even. It didn't get shortlisted. And I don't know. I just think like I think you can make a case for 4 of the 5 and maybe even the Diane Warren song as well. But I'm going to go Top Gun Maverick because I think, again, it's the biggest movie of this group. And while Everything Everywhere is obviously a beloved Best Picture nominee, that song is not incredibly memorable or recognizable. And the Hold My Hand song is like pretty great and like factors into the movie in different ways. And it runs over the credits, and people, I think, will stick to the credits because it's like love credits that show the people. I'm a big fan of that. Going back to the movie and showing like clips of the people in the movie. Just great. Anyway, that's what I got.
You mean exactly what it did in the first movie?
Yeah, great. Now, the first movie didn't win Best Song, so maybe, and it's obviously dangerous.
I don't think it won sound either.
I don't think so, right? What did it win? Top Gun Oscar.
So I don't think so. No, it didn't win song. It didn't win sound. That's it. Yeah. Right. Sound. Yeah, sound was Platoon.
Right. It did win song. I'm sorry. And it lost sound. So I have a winning song and sound.
It'll be funny if Gaga wins, and she, as of right now, is still the only one not performing. Just iconic. So
too busy making Joker. They're shooting it till April, I think, Joyce.
She doesn't have time for this. I also love it because, when it was announced that she was doing the song for the movie, people were like, oh, she's going to deliver another incredible campaign. And she has campaigned 0 times. So I love it if she would just win this doing nothing.
I just feel like they don't need to campaign because everyone saw the movie. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to.
Like, she doesn't need to do anything. You don't need to campaign at all. Like,
everybody knows the movie. Nobody did not watch Top Gun, so you don't need to campaign.
And it's just like, she's also already won this category before. So like, I don't think she cares. And I think she knows like Top Gun is about Tom Cruise.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I
Not
said,
her.
I just went with Top Gun because I was like, it's not the strongest best picture nominee here. Obviously, Everything Everywhere is, but it's one of two best picture nominees here. And I think of those two songs, it's a stronger song. And so I think it would win. That's my rationale, basically.
Yeah, I might have something different by Sunday because I've said a billion times why I feel like Not to will not win. But I don't know who to go to because there's good arguments for three of them. I think is Lift Me Up still in second.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's just like people wanting Rihanna to win an Oscar.
So I thought about that and I was like, it's Rihanna winning an Oscar, plus it's obviously a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, and like
I don't think they care about that. So.
Well, if they did, that would be a reason to do it, right? Like it's like the whole song is about like it's playing over the emotional like end of the movie and stuff, and like you're kind of like, oh man,
it's playing over the credits.
Yeah. I don't know. I could see it, honestly. I could see it winning too, just whatever. But like, I don't know. This I think is a real toss-up category.
Yeah, and then yeah, like Everything Everywhere, we've talked about like how it could win just because it's the strongest film. Kind of like Fight for You did 2 years ago, but that also had no offense to David Byrne, but like it was by her.
Yes.
Who is like an awards magnet in the industry. Befuddling to some people too. So I don't know if like it's the same case with This Is a Life, and yeah, like Hold My Hand has like the pop star, and it's a bigger movie than RR. So I don't know. I'm talking in circles here.
So you're going to stick with RRR basically until Sunday and then change it.
I know, but again, I don't know what to change it to.
It's a tough category. I don't know. I'm prepared to get it wrong. If RRR won, it would be cool. If Top Gun won, I mean, I would be interested. Honestly, all of these winning would be fun. So like for different reasons. So I'm in for whatever wins, but I just can't pick RRR. I don't believe that the Academy liked the movie as much as Film Twitter.
Same. That's how I feel too. I just don't know who to go to.
Right.
And what if Diane wins?
It would be awesome. She actually could win from this category. I honestly believe that, because it's like there's no real slam dunk winner. And while her song is kind of anonymous and no one's really heard of the movie, why not? Right? Like it could be the year that she wins finally, because she obviously won an honorary Oscar earlier this year.
I think in like some of the variety ballots, like several of them abstain from this category.
Which is another reason why Diane Warren could win, I think, because I'm like, it's going to be a smaller margins, right? She doesn't need as many.
I've always said I think she would have won a competitive Oscar by now if it was just the music branch voting, because they're the ones who get her the nomination.
Certainly. Next category is Best Score. The nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Babylon, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Ever All at Once, and The Fabelmans. This is tearing me up, Joyce, because I want to pick Babylon. I got the 4K in the mail yesterday. Here it is.
I saw your Instagram story and I rolled my eyes.
So fucking psyched to rewatch it in 4K. But I'm going All Quiet on the Western Front here.
I'm going to do that too. It's hard because Babylon has the most music.
As the most music, it's won the most of everything. Like pound for pound, everything it's won, you would add it up and be like, it's obviously going to win the Oscars based on historical context.
Well, I mean, it lost Critics' Choice to Tar, which was ineligible here.
Right.
And
it won everything, but it's won.
It lost BAFTA to All Quiet. So, but I think like the three notes of the All Quiet score, that motif, I think just sticks in people's heads. And
as we saw, like the Academy didn't really like Babylon. If it was a more like movie, I think it would have a better shot. And while it's definitely the most music, it's like 2 hours of music, and I think the music is incredible. It's also a little derivative of La La Land, and he already won for La La Land. And so I just think that there's a world where that I think All Quiet would win in that capacity. I think there's just enough support for the movie. And like you said, it won a BAFTA. I don't know. I have Everything Everywhere in third. If Everything Everywhere is going to like sweep like a crazy sweep, it would actually win this category. But I don't think it will. So
It's yeah, like this category also favors Best Picture nominees, and it's Babylon is the only one here that's not a Best Picture nominee. So like since the preferential era, only 2 movies have won this without a Best Picture nomination. One of them was Soul, for obvious reasons. And then the other one was The Hateful Eight, also for obvious reasons.
And I don't
And
think the obvious reasons are here for Hurwitz.
And then like the makeup of those categories too also lacked Best Picture contenders or strong Best Picture contenders, which is not the case here. And yeah, this is also a rematch between Justin Hurwitz and Volker Bertelmann.
Yeah.
Who also goes by Hoshka, who was nominated for Lion when Justin won. So we could even the score here.
I think we will. I really do. I don't know. I mean, you could make the case. I saw somebody was suggesting like Cara Burwell as a top contender here.
Would love to see it.
Love to see it, but I'm not sure that's an actual reality. But if he won, it'd be great. That's a great score, and he's obviously a legend. So
what about John Williams?
So I don't think so at all, honestly. He's definitely not been shy about campaigning, which is cool. But like we said, I think the most, I don't know if people care, like pay attention to this, but like the most memorable part of the movie is not his score, right? It's like the Bach song or piece. So I'm just like, I don't think people are like remembering the Fabelmans music. I think they're remembering the Bach music that is arranged.
It's also not a lot of music.
Right. So I don't think he's gonna,
which was like his goal. Like he didn't want a lot of music in the movie.
Yeah, I'm not.
So it would just be a legacy win if he were to win.
And I don't think he needs a legacy win for this.
No, and then he also, has been saying like, actually, I'm not retiring. Just kidding.
Correct. So maybe for Indiana Jones 5, we'll go back and do more, but I don't think for now he will win. So
I know, I mean, but this is the only spot that Fabelmans can legitimately win something.
Yes. Next up is Best Production Design. Let me find that category. Hang on. I'm scrolling. There we go. The nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar, Babylon, Elvis, and The Fabelmans. And I have Elvis winning.
I'm going to go with Babylon, which has won basically everything.
It's won basically everything. But again, the reason why I didn't pick it for score is the same reason I didn't pick it here. I understand it won everything, but I don't think people like the movie. And I think the Academy doesn't like the movie. And the Academy is voting for this. And I think Elvis is like a beloved movie by the Academy and the industry. People really like it. And I think that'll push it over the top.
It is. And I do want to predict another double win for Catherine Martin. Love Catherine Martin.
Yep.
But the Oscars also love old Hollywood.
They do. And I mean, it would be great if it won. I talked to Florencia Martin, Joyce. So I've
talked to her too.
You talked to her for Licorice Pizza. I did her for Babylon. Great. She was great. She should have an Oscar.
And I mean, I expected Elvis to do better in this category throughout the season. Like I predicted Elvis at BAFTA to sweep the design categories because we know they love Baz Luhrmann there. And it still lost to Babylon. So, and Babylon, beautiful sets, gorgeous sets. And it's not like uncommon for a non-Best Picture nominee to win something. So like if it's like the quote unquote best of the field. So it's not like it's going to win all 3 of its categories. It's not, it can win 2. It can win 2 out of 3.
I mean, I would love it for it to win, but I don't think it will. I don't know. I'll root for Babylon, but I'm going to pick Elvis. Makeup and hair, Joyce, that's next. Nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther, Elvis, and The Whale, and I have Elvis winning.
Same.
Kind of talked about this. It usually goes with perhaps Best Actor or Actress here, and we probably both have the same Best Actor winner, as we'll discuss later. I think The Whale as a technical achievement is remarkable, but I don't think the Academy at large really knows or understands that technical achievement. Maybe if it was just the branch voting, it would win. It's also just the Brendan Fraser makeup that you're voting for. Whereas Elvis, you're not only making Austin Butler look like Elvis, but you're doing all this period makeup and like all these real people that are like doing it and all the changing hairstyles. I just think it's like a slam dunk.
Yeah, I've always felt that way about this. I think like The Whale's been in first this whole season, but it always felt to me like the scope of Elvis is so much bigger than just the fat suit in The Whale.
Yes.
And it's also been winning too.
And the other thing is, again, not to put a fine point on it, but it feels like Elvis of these nominees is the most beloved movie. I guess we could say All Quiet maybe is, but I'm not actually sure that's true.
Makeup in All Quiet is pretty good.
It is. And if it was going to have like a big night, it could win here, I think. I maybe would even have it in second ahead of The Whale, frankly. But
I feel like it probably, I was talking to someone about this, I was like, I feel like All Quiet probably finished second in makeup at BAFTA, not The Whale.
I think it probably did. I might have it in second in my picks too. But yeah, there you go. For film.
Yeah, and then so The Batman, I mean, like, great Colin Farrell.
Yeah, I guess the reason I didn't pick that one is, again, because it's like you're really just picking one. You know, it's like the Colin Farrell makeup is awesome. It's so good. But like the rest of the movie is just, you know, Batman in a mask and Catwoman in a mask, basically. Not a lot of like obvious makeup. Where I think Elvis has like the most obvious makeup.
Yeah, and it
we
just
didn't even talk about
so much more
Tom
time.
Hanks. Right. We didn't even talk about the Tom Hanks transformation in makeup. So it's like The Whale plus like all these other things, because Tom Hanks is also in a Wade suit.
And people also know what these famous people look like.
Yeah.
A lot of these voters live through Elvis.
Yep. Next up, we have Best Film Editing. The nominees for this category are The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. And I have Everything Everywhere All at Once winning.
I do too. Gonna break the sound editing stat. If Top Gun wins this and sound, then those two categories will just forever be linked. Like, just give out one award. I don't know. I think like Everything Everywhere has won too much.
Let me ask you this. If it was two separate categories, Everything Everywhere would have gotten a sound mixing probably nomination, right?
Yeah.
Or sound editing. Which one would it have gotten, you think?
It would have gotten mixing.
And then Elvis would have been the favorite there to win because of the music. But is there a world where actually Everything Everywhere would have just won that too?
No, I don't think it would have won that, but it would have just, this is why I hate that the sound categories are merged.
Right.
Because like it doesn't have a sound nomination, but it's one category now. So the last film to win editing without one is The Departed.
Right.
Also Best Picture. And that was also kind of like an organic not late, but like, you know, as we discussed on Oscars Playback, Marty did not campaign really.
No.
So it could have definitely, it left a few nominations on the table.
Right.
That film. So yeah, I think like if you think about it that way, if there were still two categories, I think Everything Everywhere would have gone into mixing. So it would still have had a sound nomination.
Right.
It just doesn't have one in the single category now. So yeah, like it's just one too much. And obviously editing is such a huge part of the movie.
I think that's everything you said there is true. And I think if it was two sound categories and it was nominated, everyone would feel a lot. I mean, it feels like Everything Everywhere is now the obvious pick, but I mean, like you said, your history gives you pause. But I think if there were two separate categories, it would easily have another nomination, and then it would be a no-brainer that it would just win here, whether it wins the other category or not. So that's why I'm like, no doubt that it's going to win to me. But
yeah, I mean, and I think like I would love for Top Gun to win too, just because it's great, like action.
Yeah, we know it's great. We know it's great, Joyce.
And I also, was it the THR guy? I think it was the THR guy who, like, his comments about editing were basically about like the length.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's not just like about that. Like I think he said like Tar needed like more editing.
Yeah.
It's like you could have long movies that are well edited.
Right. We know that from like everything Scorsese has done, I would say. Wolf of Wall Street, particularly great editing.
We need a comment from Thelma.
Next up is costume design. The nominees are Mary Zophres for Babylon, Ruth Carter for Black Panther, Catherine Martin for Elvis, Shirley Kurata for Everything Everywhere, and Jenny Bevan for Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. And I have Elvis winning.
Catherine Martin, Oscar number 5.
So reading those nominees, and the reason I read all the names, all of these people are legitimate legends in the field, right? And then Shirley Kurata is like a newcomer, let's say. Is there a world where actually she just wins here against 4 people who maybe have their own factions? And again, Everything Everywhere is beloved. It won a Guild Award already, obviously. And maybe it just kind of sweeps through and wins here.
I mean, the movie would really just have to completely dominate to win this too.
Let's just say I have it in second. Let's just say I don't think it's out of the question that it could win.
No, I don't think so either. And I like when I did the Costume Guild predictions, I was like, it's winning. It's like Black Panther's not winning. I knew Black Panther wasn't first. I was like, it's not winning. It's
Same.
Everything Everywhere. They love this movie.
Yeah. And also like you could go through, I mean, like I said, all these people are incredibly legitimate, amazing costumers. Ruth Carter, like Black Panther has kind of been there, done that a little bit, right? And like Elvis is great, and I think that'll win. But none of these things are like incredibly original, except for Everything Everywhere. And I wonder if that'll help it win. Honestly, I'm like very close to predicting it, but I'm gonna go with like Elvis and just design sweeping Elvis, basically. But I'm very close to predicting Everything Everywhere. I really think it could win.
I feel like this is like one of the categories it will lose.
Yeah.
Like along with score. I also love Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris, which has no chance here.
No.
But would be a deserved winner too. And yeah, I think like, you know, Elvis has done too well so far here. And as we've talked about, like people know these outfits.
That's in the end why I kind of predicted it there, because like you know what these are supposed to look like, and then they actually look like them, and you're like, yes, I recognize that reference.
Yes, I understood that reference.
Yes. Next is Best Cinematography, Joyce, another very competitive category. The nominees there are All Quiet on the Western Front, Bardo, Elvis, Empire of Light, and Tar. And I have Elvis winning. Mandy
Your
Walker
fave.
making history. But that's not why I have her winning, just because of that. I think it really is.
What was your reaction when you woke up? Because I know you woke up because it was like 2 a.m. here when
I was like, no kidding, she won. I knew she was gonna. I predicted that. I was like, she's gonna win. People love Elvis. I think they really like Mandy Walker, and I don't know. I think All Quiet legitimately could win here, obviously, but I think Elvis is going to be too strong, and it's helped by the fact that Empire of Light and Bardo, while those two cinematographers are absolute legends, I just don't think are going to get a lot of support here. And so you're left with like Tar, All Quiet.
They're just filler nominees.
So there's 2 filler nominees here. I think Tar is not a filler nominee, and I think you and I, Marbley, would both say it's our favorite in the category. But I
would vote for Tar, obviously.
I don't think people take it as seriously, and then I think you're left with All Quiet and Elvis, and I just think that Elvis is so flashy. You're going to pick that. That was my breakdown.
I still have All Quiet here, and it's hard because I agree Elvis's photography is a lot more flashy and memorable. Like there are just a lot of really showy sequences and compositions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you would say the same about All Quiet.
I agree. I also,
and it's well done, right? Like,
yeah, it looks great. It's also, I don't want to, like, it's a similar reason, like, kind of like why I don't think Justin Hurwitz is going to win for Babylon, because there is a little been there, done that from La La Land. And I think with this, while it's a different person and a different movie, I do think there's a been there, done that with 1917. Like, we just did this. Like, I don't know how, like, it's a good movie and the cinematography is great. And like, I think you are one of the most early adopters of it for a nomination. I remember you talking about it like back in September, basically.
Yeah, before it even premiered. You just reminded me I did that. I don't even remember I did that.
I remember it. And I'm like, so I do think there is like
No, I remember you laughing because it's coming back to me now because I also had Emancipation.
Well, that's that one. That one didn't work. That dog didn't hunt, but All Quiet did. And I don't know. I just think like people are like, probably if you're going down the ballot, you're like, then I kind of voted for this already with 1917, and 1917 is a better version of this. No offense to the movie. Maybe All Quiet's a better movie, but the photography in 1917 is obviously like the selling point because of how technically advanced it was and what an achievement it was. So I think that a little bit could do it. And like I said, I think Elvis is really beloved. And even if you're going with BAFTA, I'm like, Elvis was also beloved at BAFTA. It didn't win, but I mean, like the international support of Elvis is still strong. You know, it's not just an American phenomenon.
No, and it's also that James has beaten her twice too, but all across the pond, like at BAFTA and BSC, and
Right.
he obviously was not nominated at ASC.
Right.
So it's like, can she actually beat him?
Well, I guess I would say like I would argue she was probably second, and then the American support would push it over the top.
I mean, I would love to see it. You know, it's the only category with no female winner.
Right.
So it would just, and like Boz has been campaigning for her too, like a lot, even like before ASC, like all of his like Instagram stories have been about her and posts and stuff. And he storied like his reaction afterwards the other night. It was very sweet. So they've been working for like 20 years, you know?
Yeah.
So
I just also think that like Elvis is really beloved. People love that movie.
it is. Yeah. It's not beloved by film Twitter,
No.
which I think is clouding people's judgment too.
And I think they love it more than All Quiet, I would say. I just think they do. It's like people love it. They are passionate about Elvis. They've been passionate about it for months. And I don't know.
Do you think like, you know, because ASC was on Sunday, like, do you think it would have made a greater impact if ASC was earlier, like weeks earlier?
No, I think it was fine. I think there's been momentum gathering for this before ASC. I think ASC confirmed the momentum. Myself, I don't know. Just we're into the top categories now. Above the line.
The top 8.
Top 8. So first up is Best Original Screenplay, one of the most competitive categories of the entire night. The nominees are Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin, the Daniels for Everything Everywhere, Steven Spielberg and Tony the God Kushner for Fabelmans, Todd Field for Tar, and Ruben Östlund for The Triangle of Sadness. I've gone back and forth in this for so long, and I ended up with Martin McDonagh for The Banshees of Inisherin.
I'll probably end up with Everything Everywhere.
Here's why I went back to Martin McDonagh after switching to Everything Everywhere. These are the reasons. I don't think they're going to hold water, but do with it what you will. I just don't think I don't think the Daniels are going to win 3 Oscars. Even Chloe Zhao didn't win 3 Oscars with Nomadland. Lost Screenplay to The Father. Now, you'd argue The Father is a better writing achievement than Nomadland, and certainly like more recognizable writing achievement than Nomadland, which was pretty sparse. And Everything Everywhere is obviously this inventive screenplay and all this stuff. But I do think there's a little bit of that. And then the other thing is, while I have some notes on a recent Variety article about like with their anonymous ballots, Joyce, an interesting thing is the order of how they're presented on the ballot. Did you notice that?
I mean, that wasn't brand new information to me, but
well, it was brand new information.
The screenplays are last because it's actually categorized under writing, so W, end of the alphabet.
And so original screenplay is last. And I think if you run out your whole ballot and you've already voted for the Daniels twice, there's a chance you get to the end and you're like, I don't need to give these guys another Oscar, even if I like the movie. And I love, I think there's a lot of affection for Banshees too. And I think so too. And I do think this category usually defaults to like, it's not going to win Best Picture, but we'll give it Best Screenplay. And I think you could make the case that Banshees is like a top 3, probably Best Picture nominee, right? Obviously, because it did so well. And I just think it'll end up winning there. That's basically it. If Everything Everywhere is beloved, I just think it's not going to win the 3 Oscars that everybody thinks it will for the Daniels. I think it'll get picked off in one spot. And this seems like the one realistic spot that could happen.
But why do you think they don't want to give them 3 Oscars?
I think because
like they're so new.
I think so. I mean, like I said, I don't think there's like a lot. I mean, like Steven Spielberg has 2 Oscars his whole career. These guys are
So
gonna
you
have
just
3
don't want
Oscars.
them to tie Steven Spielberg and career Oscars.
I think people think about that. I mean, like I said, like Chloe Zhao could have easily won 3 Oscars or 4 Oscars, right? Even, but no, 3 Oscars. But it didn't happen. And that was I was as strong as Everything Everywhere seemingly. So I don't know. I just think that there's gonna be a little bit of that in the end.
What were you predicting the Birdman year? Did you predict the AGI sweep?
I don't remember. I don't think I did because I was a Boyhood stan. I'd have to go back and look.
So you're doing Linklater for what, director or screenplay?
I probably did Linklater for screenplay.
Mistake.
I wonder if I could look. Let me look.
Yeah, that year, I mean, I didn't care about either of those 2 movies, but I was just like, the industry loves Birdman. So I just did Birdman down the line, except for actor, obviously.
Right.
And I feel like that's like kind of the vibe here. Like, I don't disagree with that logic. And I would love for Banshees to win. I think it's a better screenplay than Everything Everywhere. I think I would, if I were ranking these, I would do Everything Everywhere at most 4th. Just like, I think it's creative and original, and I think that's going to be why a lot of people will be voting for it. Yeah. Like, we've already seen some of those comments. It's like, oh, it's so original. Like, who would have ever thought about this? And that's not actually like a screenplay. That's an idea. That's like a story, right? Like, they used to have an Oscar for best story, but for an actual screenplay script, I think Banshees is a better script. I think Tar is a better script. So, but I think they might just go down the line with Everything Everywhere. And I don't think they really care that they're winning 3 Oscars. Like, if it's their favorite movie, it's like, give them all the awards. So
yeah, no, I understand. Everything you're saying makes sense too. I just am like, I think it's not going to win the 3 we think. I don't know. I can't pick against it, obviously, in the other 2 categories, despite wanting to maybe for director, which we'll talk about, but there's no logical.
I do. So here's the thing with this movie too, that I've been thinking about. There are some categories where it seemingly does not have a close challenger, like picture and director, right? Or it's like performed well enough, it seems like it's far ahead, like in editing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then there are, there's this category and actress, where it has a very apparent, very close challenger.
Right.
And I'm just wondering if it's going to be easier for Everything Everywhere to win the categories where it's just way out in front with no alternate than it is for it to win these closer categories, ostensibly closer categories.
I would say yes, though I think we'll have a different best actress pick. But I think for here, I just think there's a lot of reasons, like you said, like there is no alternate in these. Like for best director, we'll talk about, or best picture. Like if there is an alternate, there's a lot of different alternates for best picture or best director. It seems like there's no one else to pick. But here there is a legitimate other movie to pick that is also beloved, that also has performed well throughout the whole season. And I just think that's enough to have it win in a close race.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah. I'm like, is that like, is it going to lose these 2 categories, screenplay and actress, because there is a close challenger, and it's going to win these other ones like supporting actor and picture and director, where it doesn't have a close challenger?
I guess we'll see it. For adapted screenplay, Joyce, the nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Glass Onion, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and Women Talking. And Joyce, I have Women Are Talking and Sarah Polley.
Has Mark Wahlberg been announced as a presenter?
He better be. I hope he does this category. Wouldn't that be great?
I still have All Quiet here. I want Women Talking to win, and I need to see how many I have All Quiet winning at the end here. And maybe I'll like readjust. It had a good weekend. It won USC Scripter and WGA. And this race is super weird because these two films, apparent top two, have not faced off against each other at any of these top awards shows because All Quiet was so late, and Women Talking was snubbed by BAFTA. Correct. So it didn't even beat it there. So I don't know, like maybe that snub was just a fluke. I don't know, but they've never faced off before. And obviously All Quiet is a stronger movie. It's like, it would be such an atypical winner because there's never been a non-English winner in this category. And obviously war films don't usually win for their screenplays. But I guess it might come down to, like, with everyone voting, the broad support. And it seems like All Quiet has the broad support. Whereas like Women Talking, it was honestly lucky to get into Best Picture. And it seemingly has actor support because it got into SAG.
So that's kind of why I went here with Women Talking, because I think All Quiet is obviously the stronger movie, though I don't think you would say it's a strong or particularly adept adaptation, particularly well-loved adaptation.
No.
And so that's what you're working with. And then Women Talking is obviously a much weaker movie, but it did get in for Best Picture. It wasn't at SAG. That leads me to believe there's a lot of support for it, at least like with actors, right? So like that's the largest branch. Sarah Polley obviously is like a beloved filmmaker and also former actor. I don't know. I think there's enough there to have it win. And this feels like one of those categories where I wonder how much, like, we try not to overthink things, and maybe I'm overthinking things by not overthinking it, but I'm just like, all year it was just like, oh, Sarah Polley's going to win this category, right? From like August, basically. And then we jumped off that ship because like the movie kind of flopped and All Quiet was ascendant. And now she won at WGA, and obviously, like you said, like never really facing off against All Quiet, but I'm just like, people might have just like already checked out on this category mentally. Like a voter might just be like, obviously Sarah Polley's going to win, and I'm just going to pick her. Like it might have nothing to do with All Quiet being like a liked movie. So that's kind of why I have it winning. A lot of the anonymous ballots it's pretty split, but I think like
it's very split.
Very split. So I think it's going to be a close race. I just think Sarah Polley will end up winning. She is very, very well liked. Anytime you see her up on like giving speeches, people are like in the crowd and of these events that she's gotten to do a lot of are, you know, she's very well liked. So I think that helps.
I mean, I never went off of Women Talking until BAFTA, because I felt like she was just going to be the default winner because nothing else was really stepping up, you know? Right. So I was like, this will just be like a nice, easy win for her, even though the film is tanking. And it got a little reprieve at SAG, you know? But then, yeah, I don't know. Again, like, we don't know how strong All Quiet really is. And it was ineligible at WGA, so they were never going to face off there anyway.
I understand. Right.
So
I don't know. I'm gonna go Women Talking.
I know. I do want to I don't want to hope dictor, I guess, because I do think like she did what she needed to do this weekend.
Also, this is maybe a stupid way to do it, but a lot of times I'll just be like, what seems like when you're sitting there on the couch watching this show on Sunday night, I'm like, what and like if I picked All Quiet and then Sarah Polley won, I'd be sitting there like, duh, of course she won. Like, you know what I mean? Like you would just know like that she would win because like you could just tell from the crowd and like all these things. And I'm just like, I think it's like a duh, of course she won. Like, I think people are just kind of not putting a lot of thought into this category. They're probably just like, yeah, Sarah Polley.
But I think they are thinking about what they like too, because there was someone who voted for Glass Onion just because like.
Well, wouldn't it be great if Glass Onion or Living won? I think those are actually the better movies here, personally.
I mean, I think Living might be a happy medium between them, even though it doesn't have a Best Picture nomination.
It could definitely,
but it's also like prestige.
Yeah,
like for like the Euro vote.
An acclaimed writer. I actually thought Living would win at BAFTA, so I was like kind of surprised that All Quiet did win. But I also think they were just so gaga over All Quiet. I'm not sure if that's going to carry over.
I know, and again, like it's not the Women Talking is the better script. Then, I mean, I would probably rank the All Quiet script last here. Yeah, I definitely would rank it last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just like, what are the other ones? Yeah, Top Gun.
Top Gun's first, baby. Let's go. Give it an Oscar. I don't care what that anonymous guy said on TV.
How sad were you when it lost WGA?
I was pretty sad. I predicted it to win, but I was happy because Sarah Polley's cool.
I know, like I was happy she won, but then I'm like, this is just gonna make it harder for me. It would also have been easier if she had just lost that, because then I would just be like, okay, all quiet, you know?
cross her off then, right? But
Yeah,
she won.
but like she's still in it, and I do think she can win. I might change this, depending on how many I have all quiet winning at the end of this.
Like a lot of this too is just like it ends up being not just what you like, but also like who you want to see win. If you're a vote, like people love Sarah Polley, you know what I mean? Like it's like that. I think that alone could like kind of like Stranger at the Gate, where you're voting for Malala. It's like you're voting for Sarah Polley. People like her, and like I think while the movie was not as well received, I also think you could argue it got a late, like All Quiet. It definitely got a late, even though it debuted at Telluride, it seemingly got like a very late push and like kind of a late start. I don't know how many people in the Academy even probably watched it before the nominations. Obviously enough to get it a Best Picture nomination and get her in for Adapted Screenplay, which is an incredibly soft category. But I think if like, I don't know, if they had pushed up if more people had maybe seen it, maybe it could have gotten another 1 or 2 nominations. I don't know.
The whole like trajectory and like rollout of this movie was
very
wild.
strange. I have notes, Joyce, as you would say. I have some notes on the campaign and the rollout.
I mean, remember when we were all predicting Ben Whishaw and Claire Foy and Jessie Buckley?
I mean, I don't think Ben Whishaw should have gotten in because I don't think he was particularly strong.
I wouldn't have like nominated him myself.
But I definitely think you could have found room in the supporting actress category for one of Jessie Buckley or Claire Foy. I think you could have also found room for like, I don't know, costume designs maybe. It's like not, or score for sure. It was an amazing score. I would have put it in above like a few of these nominees in score. Even production design, I don't know. I think it could have gotten, if it was like, if they rolled it out at Telluride and then kind of just like sat on it for so long, it felt like they were, I don't know. It just didn't feel like.
Yeah. And they also pushed back. It already had a December release date and they pushed it back even more.
Yeah.
Same day as Babylon.
It's just not a, yeah, just like, I don't know. I know it wasn't like a lot of the male voices coming out of the festivals were like, this is not a good movie, but I think that it is a good movie and they should have, like, it could have been handled.
It's a great movie. It's not my favorite of the year, and I do have some like quibbles with it. Not the cinematography at all, like other stuff, like minor stuff. But yeah, it is a good movie, and I guess too, if you're gonna say like both of these movies are being checked out since nominations, like which would be watched more, the one that's on Netflix?
Well, I definitely think the one that's on Netflix
appeals to men.
But I also think like even men would be like, I'm not thinking of this movie as a screenplay writing effort. And you're already giving an international feature, so there's not a real push to give Edward Berger an Oscar. You know what I mean? Like he's like, I don't know. I'm just like,
even though that's like kind of what you argued for, giving Edward Berger an Oscar. Again, I don't think they're thinking about that.
No.
Like 2 weeks ago. But I do think like it's, you know, if they like the movie, it'll just be like, I don't care about any of these other movies. Like maybe like I'm not gonna bother watching Women Talking. I think it's good for Women Talking that it's shown signs of life when we all thought it was dead. Like it got the SAG nomination, it got the Best Picture nomination. So this is like its final step, like getting the win.
And it's remained, even like you said, like it's remained visible. It won, obviously it won at Indie Spirits, the Altman Award, which is not like a competitive award, but still like they're up there giving a speech. She won at the WGA Awards. There's like a lot of momentum gathering at the right time for it. I just think that alone, that visibility will help. I don't know.
So the other thing, like we know this category is, or both writing categories, often the consolation prize.
Right.
And since 6 years ago, since like Moonlight and Manchester by the Sea won writing, we've had a solo screenplay winner in one of the categories since then.
Right.
So she can keep up with the trend. But I think that's just like also a quirk. Like I don't think they're thinking about that.
Right. I don't think so.
But it's still very much a consolation prize, like to the outsiders when you look at it. You know, it's like, oh, Belfast won that last year when original was weak. Promising Young Woman, Emerald Fennell was not winning Best Director.
No.
You know,
So that's why I have McDonough winning for Banshee. So maybe I should have Edward, like I should have All Quiet winning here, but I just don't think. I think Sarah Polley will get that push because she's Sarah Polley. I guess I don't know.
I think she would be if we were going to have the lone screenplay consolation winner. I think it would be Women Talking,
right,
and not Banshees.
Okay, I'll maybe go 0 for 2 in these two categories. Then here's one I think I'll definitely get right. Best Supporting Actor is next. And the nominees are Brendan Gleeson for Banshees, Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway, Judd Hirsch for The Fablemans, Barry Keoghan for Banshees of Inisherin, and Kiyu Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Joyce, I imagine this will be one of the first awards given out on the broadcast, and I have
I have
Kiyu Kwan winning, and I look forward to his speech and making people cry.
Yeah, we talked about this months ago. It should be the first category. Just get it over with, give it to Key. We can move on with the night.
No notes here, nothing. That's it. Let him win. Can't wait.
Yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. I think everyone has Barry second because of his BAFTA win.
Yep.
I do love the THR guy who said he couldn't get through Causeway when it's one of the shortest movies of the year.
90-minute movie, totally watchable.
Perfect length.
Great. Now a more competitive category, Joyce. The nominees for Best Supporting Actress: Angela Bassett for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Hong Chow for The Whale, Kerry Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Stephanie Hsu for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I have Kerry Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin.
Same.
So we've talked about this a lot. Kerry won at BAFTA, Jamie Lee won at the SAG Awards, and Angela won critical prizes with the Critics' Choice Awards and the Golden Globe Awards. So no, there's not a lot of voter crossover there. I just think that Jamie Lee and Angela will cancel each other out and Kerry Condon will win. Basically, that's my thought.
Yeah, I'm just going with the BAFTA winner here. I'm not really thinking about this one too much, even though I know category is giving a lot of people agita. But I'm not gonna overthink this one. I'm just gonna go with Kerry, the BAFTA winner. I do love the chaos this category has given us. Yeah. Especially when it seemed like Angela was just gonna cruise to the win.
Now, honestly, I gotta say, if Angela won, I would be most surprised of her win of these three contenders.
I do too. Me too, because of the way the last two weeks, have shaken out. Like if you had asked me on February 18th, I'd be like, yeah, she's just gonna she could have lost the BAFTA. I wouldn't have been that worried, but I was like, she's definitely gonna win SAG. And
didn't win SAG.
You know what's funny though? She and Jamie won opposite awards that people thought, or they won the awards that the other person thought were gonna win.
In fact, I think I predicted Jamie for Golden Globe and Angela for SAG.
I had Carrie for the Globe, just because I didn't think they were gonna give Everything Everywhere 3 acting wins, and right. They've obviously have already awarded Jamie before, but the Angela win there makes sense in hindsight because they love stars.
Yep.
And then they're the ones who really kicked off her campaign in full force because it made her seem like a viable option in an unsettled category. And then she has the stature, and the narrative, the overdue narrative to pull it out. And obviously Critics' Choice was just gonna sheep and give it to her too.
Let me ask you this. You love doing this to me, so I'll ask you. If the Critics' Choice Awards were last week, who would have won Best Supporting Actress?
You mean like 3 days ago?
Yes.
It would have been Jamie.
Okay.
Because I don't think they were gonna give it to Kerry anyway.
Okay.
Unless they went first.
So that's why I think the Angela's support is even, that's what I mean. I think her support is even less perceived because I think that Critics' Choice Award win is actually like you said, kind of a parrot off the Golden Globes and trying to clout chase to guess the Oscar winner. And so now it would have even been different. We'd be going into this Jamie Lee with 2 awards and Kerry with BAFTA and then Angela with the Golden Globe, kind of the Steven Spielberg of this race.
And I also feel like when it's a legacy win like this, like a career win, I think you do need to sweep.
And the other thing is,
especially with her film being weak.
We also said they're both legacy wins.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis and Angela Bassett have almost the same narrative of like beloved industry veteran
They're the same age.
who's never won an Oscar, and in Jamie Lee Curtis's case, never even been nominated. So I do think in the end, that's kind of like they cancel each other out and Carrie Condon wins. Like you said, I have not really put a lot of thought into this beyond like Carrie Condon since BAFTA, honestly, or since SAG, I guess.
Yeah, like, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Jamie won. I would be slightly more surprised if Angela won, but it would also just make sense too. But yeah, like we've said, like I think they're just competing for the same voter base, and I'm sure we're gonna see a lot of these voters, anonymous voters, just talk about their careers and having worked with them. Like I think they've worked with a ton of people, obviously, over the years, and I think they're gonna both score those same kind of votes and maybe compete with each other for the same kind of votes. And then these people can only choose one. Maybe they don't choose either of them and they choose someone else.
Right.
And even though Jamie has proven to be stronger than Stephanie, and has beaten her, obviously, I do think there are a lot of Stephanie fans who would vote for her too. So she's like she's like possibly losing support from in two different ways.
So this is the anonymous THR ballot. Again, not to lean too heavily on these, and the anonymous ballots mean nothing because there's 9,700 people in the Academy and we're talking about one person. But this is one, this lends credence to maybe that idea. Carrie and Hong Chow were fine. So not a Carrie Condon fan. But then this person says, I think Jamie Lee Curtis could win for Everything Everywhere. She's been a part of Hollywood since she was a child, even though Stephanie Hsu is better in the movie. And I do think that's like basically it. Like, it's hard to argue that Jamie Lee Curtis is an icon who is beloved in the industry, but she's not actually the best supporting character in the movie. And like, we've been saying that for months, honestly. Like, at least I have. I think Stephanie Hsu is a much better performance in the movie.
I mean, Film Twitter's supporting actress pick is for sure Stephanie Hsu.
Right.
So I think it's like, yeah, I think everyone would agree neither of Jamie nor Angela's performances are their best ever, but they just want to see them be crowned an Oscar winner and be able to be called an Oscar winner. And I do feel bad for Angela if she loses, because I'm sure like her, she definitely thought she probably could win after her 2 wins in January,
Sure.
and I mean, I wouldn't even blame her if she thought she was going to win SAG. Like, I'm sure people told her she was going to win SAG, and she didn't. And that's rough. Like, that's a huge blow.
And I think it just ends up being like the movie. It's not even anything against her. The movie obviously is not strong enough. Has not proven.
Yeah, I feel like if she were competing with, like, I do think her performance here is better than performance in the first movie, but I think if she were competing with this performance with the first movie,
she would win.
Like, she would have a better shot.
Definitely.
So yeah, like, I think if you're just gonna compare like Angela and Jamie to, like, Jamie obviously has a stronger movie, like, even if you don't think Carrie's gonna win.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah, I do feel bad, like she won those awards and like it's like has gotten so close, but you know what? Props to her for getting so close with a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
So that I think it was the THR guy who was also like, we should stop treating Marvel movies like second-class citizens or something.
And he picked Angela Bassett for what it's worth. And in the let me see, look at the variety ones. There's a Jamie Lee.
Like, totally split.
Condon. There's a Stephanie Hsu. There is a Carrie Condon. There is a Jamie Lee. And there is a Carrie Condon. And then there is a Angela Bassett. So,
and nothing for Hong Chow.
Nothing for Hong Chow. 3 in the 7 ballots for the variety anonymous ballots. 3 for Carrie, 2 for Jamie Lee, 2 for Angela. Oh no, 1 for Angela, 1 for Stephanie Hsu. So
amazing. It's not, these are going to be unhelpful in this category.
No, but also Carrie Condon, if you add up all the ballots, she still ends up on top. So far, and again, it's 7 ballots or whatever. They don't mean anything.
I know, and I feel like if she ends up being the only win for Banshees, it's also kind of fitting.
Yeah.
No offense to Mark McDonough.
I mean, I have it winning too, so we'll see. But I do think it could win too. And she and the screenplay are right. For Best Actor, Joyce, the nominees are Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brendan Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for Aftersun, and Bill Nye for Living. And I have Austin Butler for Elvis.
Haven't changed months since
I,
like August. So.
Again, I would not be, if Brendan Fraser won, I would not be shocked like at all. But I just think there are too many obvious signposts for Austin winning here.
Yeah. And
I think 7 of the 10 Best Actor winners, last 10 have been for real people. The last time a real person hasn't won one of the acting awards is what, like 20 years ago or something, at least?
No, it was 6 years ago with
Okay.
Casey, Emma, Viola, Mahershala. But before that, it was like the films of 97.
So
like Jack and Helen, him and Robin. I'm just using first names here. You know who they all are.
right. And even that year you could, well, whatever. Yeah. Kim Basinger playing like a call girl who looks like Veronica Lake, basically playing Veronica.
Like that's still like a fictional character. Like it's how I don't count like Michelle Williams playing a real person here, because she's not playing Leah Adler, she's playing Mitzi Fableman.
Correct.
You know, it's just like inspired by. But Austin is actually playing Elvis Presley,
right, in
a biopic, basically. And yeah, you know, we know they love this movie. And it's a great performance. It would be I told my friend I was going to do this. You keep talking while I look for this.
Yeah, I mean, like, the reason for picking this, I think Elvis, obviously, like I said, is a strong Best Picture contender. I have it winning then, because I have it winning for Austin, and we could do this at the end, but since I'm filling time, Joyce, I have it winning 1, 2.
I'm unprepared, sorry.
4, 5 Oscars. You laughed at me when I said it would win 6 Oscars. I've downgraded.
I laughed because it was 6. I think it could win 4.
Oh, I have it winning 5 because I did have it winning cinematography, and I have it winning production design, makeup, and costume design, cinematography in Austin. I think it will tie Everything Everywhere with 5 Oscars. I just think it's a great movie that people loved. And Austin has done openings of envelopes, basically. He was at the Spirit Awards, for crying out loud. The guy's everywhere.
There. He was a no-show there.
Oh, I thought he was listed as
he was supposed to be there. No, I think he backed out a lot of the weekend events, and I was like, is he getting sick? I was like, he's been everywhere, so I'm sure he's gone like laryngitis or something. Like he can't talk anymore.
Sure.
Yeah, because he also wasn't I think he's supposed to be at ASC, and he wasn't there either, obviously, to support Mandy.
Right.
You know. So I think I've mentioned this before somewhere at some point, but my friend's dad saw Elvis in June when it came out. And then this was his take again in June. Went to see the Baz Luhrmann movie about Elvis at the Drexel this evening. I would vote to give Austin Butler the Oscar. Performance is better than Rami Malek or Jamie Foxx, and I thought they were great. Butler is Elvis, is all caps.
I mean, no notes at all. Like, I definitely agree with the fact that he's better than Jamie Foxx and definitely Rami Malek. You know, I don't think that one's a great winner. Bradley Cooper for life, but I just think it's great. I don't know, and I don't think there's biopic fatigue, and there's just so many reasons why it would win. I just think he's going to win. If, like I said, if Brendan Fraser won, I would not be totally shocked, obviously. But I think the BAFTA win was huge for Austin. It shows there's a lot of international support for the movie. Elvis is a global icon. It definitely extends beyond America. The Whale underperformed at the Academy, didn't even get in for Best Picture. Colin could maybe sneak in. He's obviously won the most, I think, when you add everything up, but he should have won a BAFTA if he was going to win the Oscar.
You should have won a BAFTA. That was rough. You know he's my fave.
Yeah.
But I never had him in first. I did say if he won BAFTA, I would move him to first, but he didn't. So I have him back in third, although I do want to put him in second in my final predictions, just because like he also has the Best Picture nomination for his film. Brendan doesn't. So, but yeah, I think like, I don't know. I think like people or like film Twitter at least might be in denial that Austin is the front runner, or at least like that was always the feeling, because like they were huge Brendan supporters, but especially like throughout like the late summer and fall, it felt like people didn't want Austin to win. And then there were all these like reasons, some like legitimate, as to why he might not win, because like he could be too young. Again, I don't think he's too young. He's 31. Like a lot of people have won in their early 30s in this category. So he would just be the fifth youngest. But like, yeah, he's not like a child.
No.
And people think he's new. Again, we've talked about this ad nauseum. He is not new.
No. Again, I think he's gonna win. I just like, it's gonna win makeup and he's gonna win. Elvis got 5 Oscars. Let's go. That's my pick.
Yeah, and it's just like, I think like he's not new because he's been around since he was a teenager. He's worked literally half his life. Like he's got the backing of Denzel, and I also feel like he's been consistently working, that people know him in the industry. Like you, the general public, may have never heard of him until Elvis, but I think he's like known to people in the industry. Like
Right.
His career hasn't been like super high profile until, I guess you could say, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Right.
But I don't think like he's too new or too young to win this. And I think like they just love the performance in the movie so much that they don't think about this stuff. Like
I agree. I think it's just like, just check him off. I think he's gonna win. For Best Actress, this one's a little more conversation, maybe, Joyce. The nominees are, as we know, Kate Blanchett for Tar, Anna de Armas for Blonde, Andrea Riseborough for To Leslie, Michelle Williams for The Fablemans, and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I have Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I have gone back and forth on this. I think I'm going to have Michelle today. I don't know if I'll still have her on Sunday.
Okay. My reasoning, we talked about this a lot. I mean, obviously Kate has steamrolled the whole season, and then, or most of it, and then Michelle's won here, a couple of things here at the end, including SAG, which maybe is not as big of a factor on the Oscar race because of the much wider membership of SAG. That said, it's undeniable that she has the momentum here, and it just feels like I'm going to compare her to Coda. Like by the end with Coda, it was just like, it's going to win Best Picture. We all knew it was going to win Best Picture. There was no doubt it was going to win Best Picture. And people were kind of probably voting for it because they want to back the winner. And I think the same thing is happening here with Michelle Yeoh. It just feels like the momentum is enough to carry her over the top in a very close race. And that's basically it.
I don't even know if it's like the momentum per se, because I think this film has always just been beloved by the industry.
Well,
And
the
it's
film has
for a year. No, but like she's always had support too. Like if this damn thing premiered a year ago this week, it premiered at South by Southwest.
I know.
March 11th, 2022. It's gonna win the Oscar on March 12th, 2023. And but like, she was getting, all these raves like straight out of that. And there was a lot of, in the spring, just some like early Oscar chatter about it, nothing like super serious yet, because we knew like the fall was coming with the festival drops and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think she's always had support. Like, remember, I think it was like at that like Elle Woman in Hollywood event a couple months ago, like Anne Hathaway gave a speech and she was just like, congratulations to Michelle on your Oscar nomination. It's like, oops, that hasn't happened yet. So I think she's always had industry support. But I think it's more so that like the movie is so strong.
Well, that's the other thing.
So
me.
Yeah. And I guess it's also like how, I guess you can, but I think a lot of them, if they're voting for it in Best Picture, would also just want to vote for her too.
That's what it feels like to me.
And then obviously she has her own narrative to make history.
Right.
And I think some people are definitely going to vote that way too.
So when I say momentum, what I mean is like, you're right. Everything you said is right. I just think like, especially in the last 2 weeks, it just feels like undeniable that there is a push towards her. And it feels like Kate, even while she was, I think what you sent me a picture of her with the Loki, what was that at Disney?
She went to like the Disney like thing the other day. Amazing. Hella. She should have been nominated for Thor Ragnarok.
So while she hasn't like hit it or anything, I just think Michelle has been so visible, like we had said during voting, especially, and like having these well-timed victories and giving some really great speeches. It just feels like Kate has taken even though, and like, again, not to parrot like the Vogue article we were talking about like at the beginning of this, but like Kate has won 2 Oscars, and I just think maybe the enthusiasm for giving her a third is going to pale in comparison to the enthusiasm of giving Michelle her first. And while the performance might be better, I think people will consider that when they're voting. The movie is obviously beloved, and I just think she's going to win. It's one of those things, like I said, sitting there on Sunday night, I'm going to be like, of course Michelle Yeoh won.
I also feel like Kate, I mean, I don't think Kate cares. Like, I think she wants Michelle to win too. I think Kate, like all of the stuff that Kate has done is in service and promotion of Tar, the movie itself. Like, she just wants it to be seen. I don't think she's like particularly campaigning for herself for a third Oscar. And you saw like the video of Letterboxd giving her the award for like most watched actress of 2022, right? Mm-hmm. Like, her first question was like, does this mean they watched Tar? Like, she couldn't believe that people were watching the movie, you know, and they were like, it was for Tar, it was for Pinocchio and Lord of the Rings and stuff. So, but I think like she wants the movie to be seen. So I think, and that's the thing too, because it's like when you're first launching a movie, it's the press tour for the movie just to get it seen. And then certain movies will have an awards campaign. So then you're out there promoting it under the guise of like supporting the movie, but you're really like campaigning for awards, even if you're not explicitly asked about it. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes, you know, like in some cases, like Everything Everywhere's case is Michelle's case, like she is asked about it, about what it would mean to be the first Asian Best Actress winner, you know, but usually it's not talked about like that. But I think with Kate, like, I think she's been doing, you know, this whole shebang for the past couple months, like in service of Tar in the movie, and she doesn't actually care if she wins or not. Her non-controversial speech at Critics' Choice, like, she doesn't care, and I think she'll be very happy if Michelle wins. And I don't think, like, I know that reason, like the Vogue reason, has been trumpeted, and also I think in the THR voter guide too, he said, like, you know, she already has 2 Oscars. I don't think most of them care. Like, if they did, then, like, you know, they wouldn't have voted for Frances 3 years after they gave her her third,
right?
You know, so, and I think it's less about giving Michelle her first if you're just going to vote by narrative, and more about making her the first best Asian Best Actress winner.
I also think when you think of the Frances year, when she beat like Viola Davis, obviously, and Carey Mulligan, that was the most beloved movie, right? Nomadland was. And so, yeah,
it's the strongest movie, and Everything Everywhere is stronger than Tar.
That's it. So I don't think it actually mattered. Like, I think Frances, if it was like there was a stronger movie, if like Frances was up for a third Oscar for like Promising Young Woman and Carey Mulligan was in Nomadland, Carey Mulligan would have won. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, like, I think it actually is.
Well, I also think it's the character that Carey, it's Cassie in the character.
Well, okay, maybe that's you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, if it was a different movie, if you like, it wasn't the Frances McDormand performance, while it was beloved as much as the movie itself is also beloved. I think that matters.
It's like, I would say Kate in Tar is better than Frances in Nomadland.
Yes.
And it is very funny that like that Vogue excerpt, it was like we just said, like, it literally was saying that, like, oh, Kate might be better, but you should vote for Michelle for reasons.
Right.
You know? Mm-hmm. And I guess if you're okay with voting for reasons, then go for it. Like, we all know the Oscar is not a meritocracy. It should be about performance merit, but it's not. There are other factors that go into it. So, but again, like I said before, this is another tight category for Everything Everywhere. So in a tight category, can it prevail, you know, as opposed to the categories where it's a runaway favorite?
So here I think it will, and Screenplay I think it won't. I guess that's how I split the difference.
What about Andrea? Where do you have her?
I have her in third. Do you think she'll attend?
Yeah, she went to Spirits.
Okay. I don't think she's gonna win. I don't think at all she's gonna win at all.
What if they opened the envelope? Well, okay, I'll ask that later, but what if it's like, and the Oscar goes to Michelle Williams?
I mean, iconic moment. Would be iconic.
Film Twitter will implode, and I would love watching it. Like,
I mean, I love The Fabelmans, but even I do not think it should win for Michelle Williams. So there you go.
Also, who do you think will present this category?
I've seen people saying maybe like Andrew Garfield, because he was nominated.
Because he was announced yesterday.
He was announced yesterday as a presenter, and obviously you would argue he was maybe the runner-up last year. Would be nice. Love Andrew Garfield.
I can see them doing what they did when Casey Affleck didn't come back to do Best Actress the following year, and then they gave Emma Stone director, and then they that was also the year they were not going to invite back the oh no, that was the following year, right?
Yes.
And then what did they do? They did J-Law and Jodie Foster for one of them, and then it was Jane Fonda and Helen Mirren for the other lead category. So I can see them doing that. Maybe. Like past winners doing one of the leads, if not both. I think they might do both just to be consistent across the leads. And then give Jessica a director. That'd like another big category. I've also seen obviously people wanting like the whole 5 former nominees come out to give a whole speech thing that they did 13 years ago.
That'd be cool. I mean, in on that.
Or 14 years ago now, yeah.
Yeah. Best director, Joyce. Nominees: Martin McDonagh for Banshees of Inisherin, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert for Everything Everywhere, Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans, Todd Field for Tar, Ruben Östlund for Triangle of Sadness. And while I've been like Charlie Day memeing, trying to figure out how I can predict Steven Spielberg to win, I'm predicting the Daniels to win.
I have nothing to say.
No. It seems like it would be a pretty big surprise if they did not win.
Yeah, but again, as we've said, the problem is we don't really know who's number 2 here. I have Todd Field in second.
I moved Steven back
because I want him to win, but
yeah, I moved Steven back up to second because I think he has been relentlessly promoting it, and
he's trying. And
I also think that like he's trying because he knows there's a chance I feel like Steven Spielberg is pretty plugged into the industry, Joyce, right? Like you would argue. And I think he must know there is a potential opening for him to actually pull off an upset here. And that's why he's campaigning so hard for this movie. Whereas like last year for West Side Story, he did not campaign as hard, I would argue. And so while I understand the personal aspect of it as well, I think he knows there's a slight chance he could win, and he's going to take every opportunity to try to win. And that's why I have him in second. But I still think the Daniels will win.
How much of that do you think is because he won the Globe?
Well, I think there's a little part of that he won the Globe. I think there's obviously because it's such a personal story. And I think like it's a great directing effort. I just think he knows it's good. Yeah. I actually think he knows it's really good. You know what I mean? Like he knows when he made a good movie. The movie's great. He did a great job. So I think he's just like, fuck it.
That's like saying the sky is blue. So,
but no, I mean, I think he knows like this is like every Steven Spielberg movie I'd argue is good. This one is great. And I think his particular directing is actually amazing in this. Like it's one of his best directed movies, I would argue.
It is. And it's actually about
directing.
Filmmaking.
So that's why I think he's pushing
and like the process, like not just directing, but like editing too. Yeah. So it's also foul that it did not get into editing.
Just a disgrace. We know that.
Yeah. But I just feel like there's just no passion for the movie, unfortunately. So
yep.
But I do think there is passion for Tar and Todd Field, however small that pocket is.
Right.
So, and I do think, as I've said before, if it were just the directing branch voting, I think Todd could win.
Me too. So. And then finally, Joyce, Best Picture. Pretty quick on this one, probably. The nominees are All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, Tar, Top Gun: Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, Women Talking, and I have Everything Everywhere All at Once winning.
Yes, but what do you have at 2?
I have All Quiet at 2.
Same.
And I have Banshees 3, Elvis 4, Top Gun 5.
Yeah, I moved Banshees down to 3rd. I've had it like 2nd for like, I don't know, 2 months or something.
God bless the pundits who want to predict All Quiet. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but I just think it would be absolutely just psychotic if it won. Like truly like an unprecedented win.
It would be just hilarious in so many ways because so many people, first of all, would be so upset that Everything Everywhere lost, like all the stands, all of film Twitter. So they will implode. And then Netflix finally getting its first win
for a movie that they
with
kind of didn't
All
think.
Quiet on the Western Front, after they pooled all their resources, busted their asses with Alfonso Cuarón, Martin Scorsese, David Fincher, and Jane Campion, and they're going to do it, win Best Picture with a movie by Edward Berger that came on late.
I mean, it would be amazing. All of those things would be amazing. I guess I'm just like, the reason I think Everything Everywhere is almost unbeatable, besides all the,
It's won everything.
It's won every single thing, right? Except for BAFTA, obviously. But it's like steamrolled the guilds in every possible fashion. And then also it has the makeup of like both to me, it's like a perfect combination of like A Power of the Dog, which was like a dominant force for months and then kind of died off. And then Coda, which was like a great or Parasite even, which was like a momentum builder that kind of rocketed into the ceremony and won on the back of that kind of passion. Everything Everywhere has both of those things. And like All Quiet does not. It just does. I don't think there is a passion for it. Certainly not comparable to Everything Everywhere. I just don't believe that. So like I can't pick
No,
it.
but I think Everything Everywhere, it's like it's always been a coda, but it was like a visible coda because it was never the actual front runner. Like I think people wanted it to win, like definitely at stands wanted it to win, like since last March. And then, you know, again, like early on, it was just like, oh, like we better get nominated. You know, like they better nominate the cast and like the Daniels and everything. And then it became clear that it was gonna get nominated for things. But at that point, you know, everyone still had Fabelmans in first, you know, and Spielberg in first. So it was always an underdog in the early part of the season. And then when the Fabelmans started underperforming, that's when Everything Everywhere usurped it. And that was also off the back of all the billions of regional critics awards too, which again doesn't always translate to industry love. And obviously it didn't win Best Picture at the Globes either, but not that surprising. So then it was like, is it going to have international support? And then we saw BAFTA, it might not have international support. So it was never, even though it's been in first and it's the front runner the past couple months, like it's never been like I think people have never felt like super safe declaring it the runaway favorite like they would have for, I don't even know, like an Argo.
Yeah.
And you know, people were also worried like how it would perform at PGA on preferential. I'm like, it's gonna win. Like there's no number two. Like that's the problem. Like there's no problem if you don't want it to win, but not a problem if you do want it to win. Like there's no alternate to this. Like Banshee should have won BAFTA. But no, it was All Quiet. And again, we don't really know how strong it is. I think most people would just have a number two just because we don't have enough data right now, and it could be watched, and it seems well liked by most people. And I agree, obviously, Everything Everywhere has more passion behind it. I don't think it will win on first ballot. I think it would probably win on second ballot. Like I think that's the earliest it could win.
I mean, like that's the thing. Like I think All Quiet does have the makeup of like a movie that you would say is going to perform on a preferential ballot, that is well liked and not loved, that is respected by the industry. And then if Everything Everywhere was polarizing, I could see maybe being like, oh, it's not going to win. But it's just not polarizing. I mean, there are people who don't like it, but that is a much smaller minority than I think anybody ever anticipated. It is beloved.
Yeah, and that was also one of the worries early on, that like maybe it won't get in because people hate it and it's weird. It's like too weird for the oldies.
And it's just not. It's really not. I think like the oldies like that. It's like, it's weird, but not like, it's weird, but not like esoteric, I guess. I don't know. I think it's just like, it's
like, it's not, because at the end of the day, it's still a very simple story.
Right.
It's just like dressed up in all this chaos. And
yeah,
like it's like weird, and there's, you know, like butt plugs and hot dog fingers and stuff.
right.
But at the end, it's like trying to make you cry.
Right.
It's like
weird.
literally telling you to cry at the end. So.
It's weird in a way that's acceptable, I think, to older voters who maybe you would think would be not into it. And then I think you also have the idea that like there's a great passion around the cast itself, and like people love this group and they've been everywhere this award season. And then even like I said earlier, there's like a pulled up from the bootstraps idea that these guys put this movie together and kind of like did all these great technical things on like a budget that's like 1/8 of like Black Panther, you know, and like are doing these like massive multiverse storytelling that comic book movies do, or like the Matrix would do in a much smaller scale, and still getting that scale anyway. I just think it's almost unbeatable. I would honestly be, this would be like, I would be stunned if it did not win. And I will eat these words on Sunday night, I guess, if it doesn't, but like, I cannot
It would just be wild. Like, I don't think it would do as well as it did at the guilds, but I just like don't see it losing Best Picture. So like it's one too much to lose Best Picture, especially. And yeah, there's just no alternate, you know, like even with 1917, Parasite was the alternate. Like I had Parasite winning for months, even like before it won, or before 1917 won the Globe.
But also Parasite had that passion, you know what I mean? Like there's not the I don't think
yeah. And then like the other ones that people thought were going to win that year, like Irishman and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like not the same level of passion.
I think that in my mind, again, like you said, we don't really know because it came on so late, but like All Quiet to me definitely profiles as a Irishman, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood type level of passion, compared to like Everything Everywhere. It's just not like, it's not comparable to me. I don't know. I'm not talking to Oscar voters like Pete Hammond is, but I just don't think it's as like legit. I don't think it's as widespread as maybe he is suggesting. But good for him.
Well, I also think, you know, not I'm not like targeting him. I'm just like lots of like every pundit or whoever who talks to their connections in the Academy, their pool of voters, or like, you know, everyone who like does like anonymous ballots, like you could just assume it's the same people every year. Right. So like the sample size, it's not just that the sample size is small, it's homogenous.
Right.
Like you need more variety when you're gonna poll people.
I love that he did it. I remember I predicted, I was the only person doing Lady Bird to win the Your Shape of Water one, because I was like, nobody cares about Shape of Water. People are more passionate about Lady Bird, and that was stupid and wrong.
Yeah, but Lady Bird wasn't. Lady Bird was definitely more of a film Twitter thing, but the industry wasn't as fair for it as they are for Everything Everywhere. And like Shape of Water, it was kind of, that was a year where it was more consensus winning than passion.
Sure. And so I love that he predicted All Quiet, but I just am not doing it. And I'll happily eat these words on Sunday night. I'll be like, Joyce, this is the most shocking Oscars upset in the history of the Oscars. I would go on record saying that right now. If All Quiet wins, it would be the biggest upset ever, right? Like, not a doubt.
I don't know, I'm trying to think of
La La Land Moonlight was one, right?
That was, I mean, it wasn't upset, but also we knew like Moonlight was always there, and right? Like again, like that's the problem. Like All Quiet has not been there.
Right. And Moonlight obviously had more passion, and you knew going into the show that there was a great passion around the movie.
Yeah, and I think what honestly, what do you think? Like, think of all the think pieces that would come out if All Quiet wins.
I'm gonna hide under the desk here. I just can't even believe.
Just imagine the reaction if that happens.
No,
it'll be the opposite of Jane Fonda saying, and the Oscar goes to Paul's Parasite.
I mean, already this is going to be like a very, there's going to be takes, I'm sure, with a lot of the winners. But I don't know. I don't think All Quiet's gonna, it's going to win.
Do you think, if on like the very, 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 very slim chance, if it's not All Quiet that beats it, like what do you think can? Like Banshees, like that's the thing. Like I don't even know what's third. Like I have Banshees in third. But I'm like, I don't know.
I mean, I have it winning 5 Oscars, so I actually think Elvis could win. I have All Quiet. I mean, I have Everything Everywhere and Elvis winning 5 Oscars each. I have All Quiet and Banshees winning 2.
I need to count up mine. Hold on. Keep shocking.
And I have Top Gun winning 2 as well. So I have the number. So those are my top Best Picture nominees or contenders, and then those are how I have everything else. I have winning nothing. Avatar wins visual effects. Women Talking wins screenplay. Triumph of Sadness nothing. Tar nothing. Fableman's nothing. So I have 7 of the 10 Best Picture nominees winning something. But I have the dominant forces being Everything Everywhere and Elvis.
So I have Everything Everywhere winning 6 right now, right?
Yeah, because
6.
you have a winning screenplay and I don't.
And then All Quiet, I have 1, 2. I have winning 4.
What did you have it winning then? Screenplay.
Cinematography, score.
Cinematography. Got it. Okay. I forgot. Yeah.
I think everything else I have single.
Right.
Elvis,
you have to have
I have 3. Elvis I have 3,
yeah.
Right. Yeah, like they don't they've been spreading the wealth in the provincial era. So no Best Picture winner has won more than 4 since The Artist. I think Everything Everywhere will beat that with some combo.
Yes.
So
I think it will, and I do think Elvis is going to be really strong. I guess it could be wrong, and maybe that 5 ends up being like 3, like you have it, and All Quiet wins 4 instead of 2, like I have it. I don't know, but I think it's going to be very top heavy with the winners. I think this year you're going to have a lot of like Everything Everywhere, All Quiet, Banshees, and Elvis, and Top Gun will probably win most of the Oscars.
it's just funny because it could also be the complete opposite because there's so many close races here. Like you could be very wrong and very right.
I mean, I could definitely. So like looking at it, like I have Michelle Yeoh versus Cate Blanchett. Cate Blanchett could easily win. I have Austin Butler versus Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser could easily win. Supporting actress, you could argue, is another toss-up. Screenplay original toss-up. Adapted screenplay toss-up. Cinematography toss-up. Even costumes, I don't think is like a lock for Elvis. Production design, I have Elvis, but I think Babylon obviously could win. Score is a total mess. Song is a total mess. So I don't know.
Yeah, you can get all of these categories wrong.
Oh yeah. I'm well prepared to go like 50%. So I'm not confident in these picks at all, just because I think there's too many close races. I think in the end, if I had to guess, like, let's see. So what would you like toss up races? I'm putting that in quotes. Would be Best Actress, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Screenplay, adapted screenplay and original screenplay, cinematography. Would you say production design is a toss-up or no? Probably not.
Stats wise, I would say no.
Okay. Score.
Just like,
do you think
score like both music categories? I think
that's 8 categories that are quote unquote toss-ups.
And then you have the shorts.
And then the shorts. So I could, if I had a guess, I'll probably go 50% in the 8 and then 1 for 3 in the shorts. So that'll knock me out of
confidence. This is also why I'm like, should I just predict one of the shorts? Like, should I just do like Elephant Whisperers or something?
I gotta say, like, I love predict. I'm like fine to go down with like a 50. I'm fine to go down with the ship on some of these because I feel like no guts, no glory.
I know, like I don't care if I'm wrong, but I also try to be aware of like where I'm going out on a limb. Right. Like I don't want to go on a limb on like everything, like I'm not predicting All Quiet for Best Picture by any means. And I'm willing to go against the grain in the shorts, but then I'm just like overall, like if I do want my score to be good, should I just go with the pack on one of them?
Right.
And so we can all be wrong,
Right. All right, Joyce, we've been going for a long time, not like 4 hours like some of these shows do, but like pretty long. But I got 2 emails I wanted to read for us. You can email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. This is from Andre, who writes, "Hello, Joyce and Chris. I love the show and your dynamic. It's always very entertaining and funny to see the very different ways you guys look at the same stuff. I also want to congratulate Chris for being one of the only people who recognized the brilliant comedy performance that Camila Mendes gives in Do Revenge. It's been a lonely road, and I was so glad when I found out Chris was with me. I'm with good company, no doubt. I've been voting for her in every Twitter award show thing that I came across. I even got her a nomination. Do Revenge, Stand, Stay Winning. My question for you guys is about veterans. The last few years, some of my favorite overdue actors like Brendan Gleeson, Bill Nye, and Jamie Lee Curtis have been getting nominations. Who would you like to see next? My answer is John Goodman, who was Rob for Barton Fink and Big Lebowski. Iconic. That's why I read it, because obviously do revenge roles.
You and Andre, the only two people FYCing her. So people who've never been nominated. I don't know who, because sometimes I think more along the lines of who've never won.
Right.
Than nominated, but yeah, John would be a good one. And who else is there? Oh, I guess you could do Donald Sutherland.
Good one. I mean, personal favorites would be like Kurt Russell and Delroy Lindo. I would cite. And let me look here.
I mean, she like the first person who actually came to mind when you were reading that, even though she's not a veteran, but I was just thinking of people who have yet to be nominated for an Oscar that fans want to be nominated. Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt, certainly, but I wouldn't like put her as like somebody.
No, because she's 40 years old.
Right.
So
maybe this year, Joyce.
Oppenheimer.
Or Oppenheimer.
She's presenting, so we're probably gonna get a new Oppenheimer trailer on Sunday.
I saw Creed in IMAX, Joyce, last week.
Of course you did.
Fucking great. Jonathan Majors owning it. The best. So good. And I'll definitely we're gonna do our very, very early Oscar picks next week, I guess. And I can't wait.
You're gonna predict them for Creed?
Yeah, hell yeah. Sorry, Magazine Dreams.
Not Magazine Dreams.
Nope. Sorry to Magazine Dreams. Creed, baby. But before Creed in IMAX, they ran a new Oppenheimer trailer that I had not seen before, and it was amazing. Looks so good. So I assume they'll run that like in reality soon on TV or certainly online. It hasn't been online yet.
Oh, so you know who I just thought of? Pam Grier.
Pam Grier would be great too, but should have got nominated for Jackie Brown. So
I don't know who else is there.
I don't know.
You know what's going to happen? We're going to be done with this, and I'm going to think of like 17 more people.
If we're done with it, we think of 17 more people. We'll bring it back at another.
Oh, Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant is great.
Hugh Grant. Yes.
All right. Email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. Here's another one. Hello, Joyce and Chris. Since the Oscars are this week, or less than next week, I guess, because it's Sunday, I've been seeing lots of accounts on Twitter asking for people's top 4 winners of all time in certain categories. That being said, I was wondering if you guys can give your top 4 best original screenplay winners of all time. Mine would be Citizen Kane, Chinatown, Divorce Italian Style, and American Beauty. That's from Harold and Maude. I love the chaos of that.
Harold and Maude again. Oh my gosh.
Love the chaos of that list.
Well, now I need to pull up.
I got the winners lists up here.
I know, but I'm just like, I've never thought about this.
So 2 that popped in my head immediately were Pulp Fiction and Good Will Hunting. I'd probably also put The Apartment in there.
Love The Apartment. Oh my gosh.
And then looking at the list, I do think Chinatown is amazing. I think Network is amazing.
There are too many, especially, oh my gosh.
It's a great
I have to write
list.
some of these down and then whittle it down. Hold on.
I mean, I love The Usual Suspects. I think that one is a killer.
This is why I love the screenplay categories, because they usually do a good job. Not always.
Eternal Sunshine is a great one. Get Out is a great one.
Only 4. Oh my gosh. Okay. These. I do love The Apartment.
I think The Apartment and Pulp Fiction are locks for mine. And then I would say probably Chinatown, honestly, as well. not to parrot Harold and Maude. That's 3. And then while Good Will Hunting was a fave because of Ben and Matt, I guess I would probably not pick it compared to some of these other movies that are up. I think probably Eternal Sunshine maybe is my 4th. That would be my 4th.
That's a good one. Let me see. I'm up to the 90s.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Almost Famous. You're not going for Almost Famous?
No, I'm not.
Fave?
It's fine. I also could have picked Annie Hall, honestly, but I know it's canceled now because
It's fine. You can still support the movie.
I guess I would stump for Annie Hall too.
I'm like, I also like, I really liked Her.
Wow, you did? Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, I wasn't hot on a lot of movies that year, but that was one of my faves. That
I
and
watch that again. I haven't seen that in so long.
Her?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Probably haven't seen it since it came out.
Okay, how many do I have here? I need to cut some now.
Look at this run of winners I'll vamp while you're doing this. This is the run of winners in the 70s. And then think about what we got.
Iconic winners.
Patton, Hospital, Patty Chayefsky, The Candidate, The Sting, Chinatown, Dog Day Afternoon, Network, Annie Hall, Coming Home, and then Breaking Away in 79. That's like insane. What a list. How is that real? Like what?
I know. And then we gave it to Belfast last year.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, like, you look at the recent winners, and they're just Belfast, sure. Promised Young Woman, I think of that list, maybe would be my pick. It's pretty solid. Parasite obviously is killer. Green Book, I have notes. Get Out was
how I feel about that.
Get Out was an amazing winner. I think that's an amazing movie, though I think Us is a better movie. Manchester by the Sea is great. Not my favorite in the category, but great. Spotlight, sure. Of those nominees, I actually think Bridge of Spies is maybe better.
I am like one of the few hardcore Bridge of Spies fans.
Oh, I love it.
There's not a lot of us.
Movie.
Yeah.
I don't think Spotlight is as great as people seem to think, but
I like Spotlight. I love a good journalism procedural. So
the Birdman year, I think there are 3 movies better than it: Boyhood, Grand Budapest Hotel, and Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler probably would have been my winner that year. I love it.
I would have voted Nightcrawler.
Freaking rules. Her one, I think that's a solid win in the category for sure. Django Unchained, I really liked, so I'm in for that. Love Tarantino. Midnight in Paris, sure. I'm not a huge fan of that movie. It's good. I think of the nominees, maybe Margin Call would have been my favorite to win. King's Speech over The Fighter and Inception. No, sorry to that man. 2000.
David Tyler gave a great speech, though.
Yeah. Hurt Locker won over Inglourious Bastards. What? No. And The Serious Man. No. Milk won 2008. Juno was a great win, but Michael Clayton is an iconic all-time movie, and Tony Gilroy should have won. No offense to Diablo Cody. Did you whittle down your list yet?
I think so. Right before you got to Crash.
Okay.
So good timing. Okay, so I'm gonna do The Apartment, Network, Eternal Sunshine, and Manchester by the Sea. I love Manchester.
Wow.
I love that script. I love Kenny Lonergan, one of my faves.
Love it. So we had Eternal Sunshine and The Apartment together. You had Network, I had Chinatown. And then you have Manchester by the Sea, and I have Pulp Fiction. Can't really go wrong.
No, all great winners in this category. So
there you go. Email us slugfest@goldderby.com. Joyce, I think we were closing in on probably Scream 6 length. I think it's like 2 hours. So
have you seen that yet?
Not yet, but we're going Friday night. Can't wait.
You know I'm not going to see it.
It's a great movie. What if that's the best movie franchise we have?
You can make that argument next week when we do our predictions for next year.
I'll have that into Jonathan Majors for Creed 3, Scream for Best Picture. Let's go. No, probably not. But I love Jonathan Majors in Creed 3. He was so good. Joyce, that's it. So we'll be back on Sunday night. I guess first in a live scenario with our pals at the Gold Derby website. And then we'll do another one on Sunday night after that. And then we'll post that, I guess, Monday morning.
Sure. How long is this show gonna be?
Holy shit. I mean, Jimmy
Jimmy
Kimmel
Kimmel was like, it's gonna be over 3 hours. Like, duh.
I mean, it's definitely going to be very long. It seems like they're not going to really cut any of this stuff. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. All right. Well, I'll drink some coffee and we'll be up late.
We'll for sure have some changes to these final predictions.
Yeah, we'll do more final predictions. Maybe I'll switch to everything everywhere in Screenplay because I'm just like, why not? And then just call it a day. But Joyce, I'll talk to you later. This was fun. Bye.